Hello, everybody. Logan Cisco here once again for another Extemp Central Weekly News Wrap-Up. If you've been following the website this week, you'll notice that the Extemporaneous Speaking Tournament of Champions has its second biggest week of the season. There's only 2 weeks left to qualify for the TOC under Category 3, but this week have 4 tournaments. There's the Salina High Central Invitational out in Kansas, the Harvard, which is the biggest national tournament that's hosted by a university all season long. That is a third-tier tournament of the national points race. The California Invitational, fifth-tier tournament of the national points race, is also a TOC qualifier, so people in California can wrap up their TOC legs. And then the University of Pennsylvania's Liberty Bell Classic will also be taking place. And UPenn used to be a national points race tournament the first year that we offered it, but it's no longer a national points race tournament, although that could change in the future. So all told, there's 4 qualifying tournaments. Next week, have 2 qualifying tournaments. And good luck to those competing this week at Alaska's state tournament. And all finalists there will earn automatic qualification to the Extemporaneous Speaking Tournament of Champions. This week, what I thought I would talk about a little bit are sources in Extemp, because one of the things that's been big on the message boards, it seems every year, is people wonder what sources should they be cutting for Extemp. And there's a lot of different things that you can put into your file boxes. It used to be when Extemp started, there weren't really a lot of sources that you could cut because there wasn't an internet that you could utilize. So people were often limited to magazines from their library, or you had to buy standard issue newspapers. I remember when I started Extend back in the 2000-2001 season, my team used to get the copy of the Wall Street Journal and the physical copy of The Economist. And if there's any older competitors watching this video, they can relate to those experiences of having to cut The Economist by hand. Nowadays, people are spoiled in that they can just go online and you can cut The Economist if you have a subscription. But back in the day, you used to get The Economist. It didn't used to be in color, and it wasn't in color actually until my sophomore year. But The Economist, you had to cut it by hand. There was like 3 articles on every 2 pages, and you had to photocopy it and cut it. Newspapers, you just had to sacrifice articles based on what was on one side or what was on the other. But now with the internet, there's more sources available to extempers than ever before, and that provides a lot of opportunities for extempers to diversify their file boxes. As you see, we try to point you in the right direction on Extemp Central with some websites and access some links to news sources that are out there. For example, the standard basic newspapers like the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Los Angeles Times for domestic information. There are some other valuable sources, I believe, that are out there. Keep in mind that All Africa is a database for African newspapers and news sources, which is an incredible source if you're an international extemper or you're in a state that has mixed extemp. You also have sources like the Asia Times, which I recommend to cover Asian issues because it chronicles in depth not only Asian countries, but also America's foreign policy towards Asian nations like China or Vietnam, and questions that you can get in either a domestic extemp round if it deals with U.S. foreign policy, or even an Asian extemp round that deals with Asia's policy towards the United States, or at least issues that the United States deals with on the Asian continent. But I think there's also other sources out there extempers should look at. One of the sources that's out there is the Index of Economic Freedom, which is a survey that's compiled by the Wall Street Journal and the Heritage Foundation. And although the sources lean right, what they do every year is they look at a country's economy, and every country in the world has their economy profiled by the Index of Economic Freedom. If you Google that term, you can find it. And it provides a detailed breakdown of a country based on how free its labor markets are, how free its trade policies are. It believes, of course, in free markets, etc., which may not suit your political ideology, yet these breakdowns are just as valuable, if not more so, than the CIA World Factbook can be in an actual extemp round. Furthermore, there's other sources that extempers should take a look at that are online. The Council on Foreign Relations provides excellent interviews with senior policy advisors. Furthermore, you have the International Crisis Group, which we link to sometimes to the R&D portions, which provide full detailed reports. And with the International Crisis Group, a great thing about their briefs, and you can access the full reports when you click on, they provide a summary on their main page, but then you can click on for the full PDF report, which is longer and more detailed, usually on the side. And if you do that, not only will it give you the history of a conflict zone or a conflict region, but it will also provide solutions for the problems that are being faced by that country or territory. So when you get extemp questions by how questions or what questions, and I posted a piece earlier this season about how to answer how or what questions. These provide you solutions that you can use in an extemp round about issues like Somali piracy, or how to bring peace to Sudan, or how to resolve the conflict in the Niger Delta, or how Russia can deal with its former territories. All of these issues are profiled, and extempers can go on there and use these recommendations. Furthermore, take a look at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, Foreign Policy in Focus, Upside Down World, which is a leftist Latin American think tank, but it does provide an interesting opinion about issues in Latin America that is contrary to some of the opinions in Western media. Extemper should also feel free to look at books that are out there on the market. You don't want to cite anything from Glenn Beck or Al Franken or even Ann Coulter, but some things, and I always say that the big book Extemper should always look at is Henry Kissinger's Diplomacy. It will provide you with an excellent background in foreign policy decisions, not only by the United States, but the emergence of international organizations. And The Economist always provides great book profiles that are worth looking into. The same thing for foreign affairs. And always try to keep up to date, because books always stand out well in Extemp because they show that you're reading material that is different. It's always nice to cite a book every once in a while in an Extemp round, because judges are tired always of hearing the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Once again, good luck to everyone competing this week at the Extemp TOC qualifying tournaments, or wherever you happen to be around the country, and good luck to our friends in Alaska competing in their state tournament. Remember, when you get state tournament results or NFL district results, to send them to me at logan.cisco@topper.wku.edu, and we'll get those posted to the website. Until next week, this is Logan Cisco for Extemp Central's Weekly News Wrap.